Good day and welcome to Multi-Democracy, my system. The words I will say is army, money, abuse you. If you think about it, war and money throw you in war. Rich that rule over you abuse you. A rich motivate you and free you, care for you. Multi-democracy is a system where there are laws for what you can do as a ruler. Laws that are multi-viewed and fast response to prison, like Trump, for instance. If he broke laws, abuse kids, whatever you do wrong, you are not protected whatsoever. The system that multi-democracy got a safety net by prove your point legal means that you cannot just do stuff anymore. You have to prove that it is legal what you do. The individual parties to prove their worth on the run means that every party there are shall work and prove their worth in the rulings of systems, meaning that your ideas is no better than your proof. So if you cannot prove that you are good for the system, if you prove that your values is broken, you can actually be thrown out. Check up systems by true people that know real life, meaning you have to prove that your system will work to people who works with whatever it is. So if you say that hospitals shall do something, like they shall make a report that is 2,000 pages long, then people will look at it and say, oh, that's not important. Actually, we can do it for more or less because we have words for these things and no one can make it that long without making a story out of it. So, freedom back to the individual is also part of multi-democracy. Not only the rich people. That means also no more slavery. Because now the rich shall face the consequences of their doings. That means that if they want to work, they have to work more equally. And also, what multi-democracy is also doing, and this is important, use money on Earth health guarantee, meaning that you will always have a party, of course, that will look into what to do with the health of our world. And therefore, there's a guarantee it will be done. No more spinning around because of blue or red, depend on where you are. Governments that is only thinking about, I want to earn money. You have to actually be taken power from you and given to the cases of those who cares about the earth. It means you overriding all the other bullshit. So if you are into killing people like Nazi, you will have a very hard time even doing the things that you are talking about, because first of all, you shall prove your point. It is legal to kill people, and if you can't, bullshit out. And that is also, if people are unfit that hit less than 70% of their goal claims, meaning if Donald Trump is lying over and over again, he can be fired in less than a second if he cannot prevail 70% or more. So you see, you cannot just lie away around anymore in multi-democracy, the way democracy supposed to be like. Only diplomatic immunity if you prove that you understand the whole system and hit important, meaning that you are aiming at the things exactly how it should be solved without making people directly angry. You should know what affecting how people can be employed faster. You shall prove your standpoint in many ways. You shall almost be perfect if you shall have diplomatic immunity. That's not easily given anymore. You have to prove that you are worth the workload. It's no more about I'm an opposite party and this is war kind of things. First of all, if it is a war, prove your legal point first. And if you are warring another party, then you have a problem with this one. And you have a problem with this one. And you will have a problem with this one. And you probably also will have this one, because you are unfit, because you're threatening people and such things. That is not legal. You shall do your best to work with what you got, and that's it. And the last point, no one leader, thereby the name, but multi-geniuses work like a team. That is multi-democracy. So it means that you cannot just pretend you're doing. You have to actually work together as a team. It means that you shall actually be friend with your enemies, or else it's not legal. Then you can not prove your worth. Then you cannot have the checkups and all the other things. It will come back to the first point already in that statement. It means no more enemy parties. Meaning Don't start, stop it. Work together, or else you will be fired. If you're starting a fight for no reason, that's your problem. But if you can say, okay, I see this party is doing something illegally in this direction, then it's up to not you parties anymore, that it's up to the legal system to check it up. No more Mr. Nice Guy unless you can prove your only diplomatic immunity if you understand people and the whole system and can hit the important keys of everything. You shall be close to God as possible. You should not just be ruling because you having racism or anything like that. You shall rule by not having anger in your system. And that is also a thing. Yes, you can be angry in something that is, if it is human life getting murdered, for instance, you can of course be angry, but you cannot be angry at the other party unless they are literally putting people into, for instance, die if they are deported. Like, if they are deported back to their country, will they be murdered? If you can say yes they are, then you are responsible for sending them back. Meaning you are again against the legal point. You have to say that you are holding the law in your hand when you're ruling. Else this is broken and you can be present in case like Donald Trump without problems, or Vladimir Putin, or anything. It means freedom back to the individual, meaning if you're having a system, be sure that people can be fed. Be sure they can work and actually own, so they not are slave of the system, but actually can earn vacation and having a good life. You are responsible for your workers in your country. Responsibility is what multi-democracy is giving. You have to have responsibility. If you don't, then piss off. Go to another planet, make your own system there, just not where multi-democracy is. Go away, piss off. In other terms, you're breaking the law, and if you're breaking the law, there will be problems, meaning that dictators can actually be present even if it is illegally taken. But if the person is a mass murder of his own people, you can justify it and say the diplomatic immunity doesn't fit here in our country. Therefore, he will be present. Then they can argue and argue and argue, but if they break the law of people's rights, you can basically do things. Diplomatic immunity shall be earned in multi-democracy. So unless you can hold those criteria, there will be not the same responsibility. It will just be like Yeah, you are somehow gotten to our country, and now we can persecute you because you is taken, because you have broken the law of the human rights law as a first step, no matter what you say. World order. We need a world order, not some guy who rules it all. If you see Europa Universalis, there will always be a problem. When the country getting too big, look at Russia, look at the United States. It's too big. We need more allies. And NATO should actually reconsider when they can get back in power of NATO. I hope the new news are correct, but we need something that can protect us. Else the dictators will win, and that is what multi-democracy is against. Because multi-democracy is law. Who writes the laws? It's not the highest people. No, it's not. It's not the higher people. It's not all the other things. Capitalism doesn't work. Multi-democracy will. Because. But who is the enemy of those? Dictators. Depression. It's not about putting laws so strict that it is impossible, but there shall be baseline of laws that say human rights, and also And those are the things that it will be the enemy of the system in itself. It means that the laws shall be against dictatorship. So if a person comes into power without the right roads, like 100%, then you have nothing to say. And even then, you have one problem. You have to be about this one, you shall have this one, you shall have the check off by people who actually living in a system and knows about the system. There shall be no slaves and such things, so you have to go way through the list and actually see everything how it is. And abusing slave drivers, if you break human rights, if you break kids' rights to be kids, if you exploit people in a loop, all of that shall be a protection shield against, a law against those things. So we just can't do it. And this is just the basic lines. Then there can be some laws and such things. But also that I also as tired of is people who are making a complex system. Simplify laws and income balance. It means that you shall actually prove that people, if you're saying that people are getting too much support in the education, for instance, let's say that one, then you shall be saying, is that so? But why is it that people can't afford food then? If you come into that statement, you are already breaking the first law. And then all the others will follow up. It means that you will have a higher rating of failure attempts. It's like card game. If you can't prove your card is actually legal, then you will lose the game. And all those who are protecting you will fall with it. Meaning, you shall take responsibility because it will be forced to you. Multi-democracy is to protect the people, not benefit the person who rule it. You are employed to the country. You are a worker of the country. If you want to protect your country, then prove you protect it. Multi-democracy is about you shall prove you care, not the other way around. It's not about you having the key. No, you shall prove that you actually have a driver license. You shall prove that you can handle the car. That is how the system will work in multi-democracy. You shall prove you understand what's going on. And if you can't explain simple thing like tariff, if you can't explain it correctly, you are in a big, deep shit. Because then this one will apply probably because you can't prove that you are right. And if you can't prove you're right, you will lose a card every single time. So see it like this. You have like cases. Okay, you can take, for instance, I want to do different types of things. So I will make these to indicate things that I talk about. I have 15 categories that I will focus on my election. If it was me, for instance. But if I can't in the first place, if it failure, 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 then you're getting a problem. Because first of all these 5 failures where it is lawfully breaking the law, you have a problem. So you will, in this case, be in 33.1% failure rate, meaning you are underlined. Okay, then people will say, okay, that sounds harsh. Listen to me in this matter. If you, of course, getting all the other correct, then you have to just prove new concept. So if you say, okay, I failed all my attempt in that matter, but now I'm suggesting something else. So all those we look aside from. It's only the failure you need to correct. So you can say, okay, I wanted this, but I couldn't succeed with it because I failed the test in that matter. So here is the plan instead. And then you suggest something and such things. And if it is succeeding and you're getting an AA, for instance, like grades kind of like thing, and the other here is succeeding, then you suddenly have more percentage. It means that you can correcting things on the run. That means that you got 80% hitting range in this matter. It means that you have a little wobbling in that matter. But of course, this is just cases that you don't have. The rating is not saying exactly that you shall be able to do all these things. It shall prevail, it is legal, and it is good enough. Then you can, for instance, skip these 3 cases in that matter and say, okay, we wanted this, but okay, we cannot do it actually. It's impossible. So, but we have done all the other things. We have done, for example, that we have completed, for instance, about 5 cases of all those we have set up, and we are still working on it. It means even when an election is there, you can actually functioning with the whole system without breaking. So you can keep working as long as it is there. And if you can say at one point that you getting up to 100% in case that you make some things, working, then you in the long term can say, we actually lived up to what we actually was saying, or at least our values is pronounced, and the other maybe also got something out of it. But the thing is, you shall not have failure. You shall at least have a degree that is high enough to say this is legal. We have tried to do what we are supposed to do, or something like that. But the thing is, you shall actually be able to do the goals. But also, unlike democracy is now, you cannot just destroy a plan. If a person have done all of these things here, you shall either talk with them and suggest your values in their system, for instance, how to make both things work and actually make it possible. You cannot change anything unless it is actually beneficial. If it is beneficial for people, that is what is the first thing. And that is also a thing when you have two parties that is coming up with this suggestion, like the one is saying we need to make the education more free for the individual persons, and the other one is saying we need to focus on those who are brilliant. Then you can, in this term, then you have to actually make a deal that benefit both things without losing those things there is. Meaning, if you have an other person who's saying, I will take all the money away from the education and just let people do their own exploring instead of education, then you can argument to people because of checkup will be implied, and is it breaking the freedom for the kids, for instance, and all those things, then you shall go through all the laws before you can even just manage a little with it. People will say, but it will also make it a very uncomfortable system. Yes, it is right, but here's the good part. In multi-democracy, you get partly a sum of money to work with. Meaning, if you have a project you believe will be better than the system is doing right now, you can actually go and test it out. If you, for instance, put a little money into it and say, this system, now we try it out, see if it works. It is a test on school, can it work or what not? And if you can prove there's a part in it, maybe they will re-evaluate what can be changed, what is good about the system, and where's the failure points, so we can make a more stable system that is benefiting more students, for instance. Or maybe it will benefit those who are in the lower grades, or maybe it will boost those who are already high up, making more freedom to this single individual instead of just one group of people. And that is multi-democracy. Meaning, if you need to change and you have two different statements, then you can look at all those things that they are compatible with the system that are already running, and say, okay, we take all these things that is we agree on in these matters here can be done in both directions. Like, let's help the people who are poor bad at education. And the other guy was saying we shall only focus on the top guys. Then there will be two important keywords into this, meaning smart plus maybe dumb people get boost in total. So you're not just saying the one or the other, but you will make them together and find out how can you do both instead of only doing one. What can be done? How can we benefit both parties without losing the connection? So things will be more balanced, and also that exploits shall also be tested. So instead of saying, I want this to be part, because it is basically what's happening is either the rich, for instance, either the rich or poor get money. Then this one will say, okay, you want your rich guys to be more rich. Okay. The first is why. You shall come in with an argument. You shall not just be like, I want this because I want it. No, you shall say, why do they need more money? Why will, because if they take the money, what will they do with it? Will they even start more business, or will they just make it harder for those who work? You shall argue the specific way of it, but let also hear it out, because maybe you can do both things. And the other part is saying, poor, more rich. Life so poor get more rich and life quality. Okay, why will it benefit to give them more money? If you can come up and say, okay, if we take the example that you cannot actually come up with any idea, so you just like failure because you have no reason, and the poor is, if you can say an argument, they can afford food. Can get education to give more income in long term, then you can actually say and prove you have a good case here. See it like a case you shall actually do. You shall case things like it was a jury term. You shall prove that you did it right, that you are doing things right. But in this case, if you can say that the rich guys, they get more money if they use them to get more workers and better fee, then you can actually go in and argue why they shall have more money, because you are setting an if statement into it, thereby you proving you are actually supporting the poor guys so they can afford more food and can get education and get more income in the long term. You can see why it's much better to have multi-democracies instead of this bullshit where it's only the poor or the rich, poor or the rich all the time. Not looking at then if the rich people shall having a discount on the tax, they shall prove they use the money for the poor guys to get work. Then they have to go in and dedicate themselves and say, yes, I will do it to make workers. That is what I am going to do. Therefore, you get a tax cut. Okay? So you can see, then you put a leverage on the rich people to actually fulfill what the government is telling you. Instead of this, all rich people shall just get more money. But why will they then hire more workers? Why will they not just use less workers and earn the same thing that they did before? Thereby making more poor people. You see? This way, you shall argument, this is what is happening, this is what's going through, and then it will be tested first, safety, okay, in the legal system, where if it is, then you can also prove to the people that you actually can think for yourself for once, instead of nagging on the other parties, for instance. And also that is also kind of illegal because it is bullying, and bullying is not seen as legal business. Then you also have a checkup system where people are coming in to look at your case and say, hey, that actually makes sense. If this is going through, it will work. If you break this in some way, it will fall back to you who started it, the project. Of course, it will. So you shall actually give in, or they can say, okay, we will make it in a small scale test if you are right, and see where it goes. So our economy will not fall apart and all those things, making sure the system not just fall. And also, is the freedom going to be back to the individual and not only the rich? No more slaves. If they can prove there is no slave in this system, it will benefit the rich, and they will make more workers, and they will be more free, to do what they actually want to do, maybe, then you having a good case. And also in case of money, because there will be cases where we'll say, hey, the environment doesn't seem very good. Then there is a case, and therefore there will be parties who can just go in and adding in to the case and saying, we're doing this for the nature, what will happen? And thereby all the legal system will also do it. And also, if you're getting through with it, and it will, if it is reliable system that you're getting up and running, you will have a trump card more to say, hey, I actually reliable. Meaning you shall have a very good reliability claim to stay in power. And also, if you're very, very good, you can get diplomatic immunity, but only if you can prove that you are not breaking the law, not doing all these things, like Trump, for instance. Of course, minor laws, maybe there will be a little, but it will definitely not be triggering the biggest things. It will be more like, yeah, it will be valued if you keep driving too fast, then you can getting removed again, but it will stay there if you're actually trying your best to not driving too fast or anything like that. And also, if you can prove that you are not supporting one leader's system, you will of course also be granted respect also in the system, meaning you are in the legal area, you're not trying to take power, you are there to work with each other. You are in a team of workers. Parties is team workers, not enemies. Therefore, shut up and do your work. Don't complain about, oh, but it is set up from the Democrats and all those things. No. If you can't work with it, then you are not fit for the job. Simple as that. If you are ruling against just because you want no deal, then you are illegal. You can also say, is there something with dictatorship? Is there suppression in it? Is there a breaking of human rights? Is a slave or abuse or breaking kids' rights to be kids? Or exploit people in a loop? That is just the 7 base things that will be checked right away in one go. Because it is an enemy of the system, meaning the job have not hired you to be a dictator, it have not hired you to be suppressing other people, you're not hired to break human rights, you're not hired to make slave drivery out of people, that is poor for instance, you are not there to abuse anyone, that's what you're hired for. You're not there to break kids' rights. For instance, Donald Trump doing kids. Yeah. If he was in a multi-democracy, all of them will break. He cannot get over the 50% of the goal claim. He didn't do anything of it. He shall ask every single company if there is question and the numbers here is lower, and if he can get a solid proof from every single system that it is actually not right, then maybe. And also exploit people in the loop, and that is also what Donald Trump is doing. So you can see it depends on opinions, not one party getting all the credits and ruling over. That is what the problem is with the normal democracy. So therefore, begin to think maybe multi-democracy is for you. It's you who are too dumb to realize we need it in the world. And this one is very important. If we're not coming to this sense now here, maybe the kids in the future will suffer forever because of us being selfish. Even as a replicant thought, not that I am replicant, a democratic more, if I shall pick from USA, because I believe that real democracy is important. But how does that even apply? Who to blame and such things? Those who started it. If one party, if a just thing is taking care of hospital or health, and another party is focusing maybe on the poor. If this party is focusing on rich, if this party is focusing on transport, you can see when you have a multi-democracy system that having those things, where we say this is the core things they focus on, then you know all about health is probably leaned back to this party. This one is responsible for the poor people. This one is responsible for the rich people. Those are responsible for the transport. Then you suddenly have a system that is focused on the things, and if things are working and we say okay, it's maybe not good, but it's working, it's like 50%, it's okay-ish, it could be better, and 54% from, and 66%, and those here is 47%. Then you can go in and say, okay, maybe there's some problems here, so maybe we need a more focus, so maybe A is going to support this part and that, and thereby make it to maybe 55% because of boost opinion, for instance. Then maybe B is also going in and say, hey, we actually need better transport, because if we're not getting food out, we cannot get them to eat. So we have a problem then. So the B is going in and suggesting something and combining their thoughts, and maybe we can boost it up from, and thereby by doing this they can maybe turn this up in this matter and boost it up to 54 or 64%, and those here is actually earning more because of the transport is making the companies earn more, so they are also getting a benefit, maybe not so much, but it's getting benefits, and maybe also health because people suddenly don't need to worry about food, so maybe they come up as well therefrom and making the thing better by only focus on this one. So you see, it can maybe also be that C is actually saying, oh, that is a good idea to boost as well, and then you can see the spiral is going out of scale, probably. And then you suddenly got a system that is okay working, instead of a system that is thinking of themselves all the time. Maybe it will be balanced, so it end up in 60% happiness compared to, in that matter, 70%, and in most cases people actually are okay with 70% maybe. So you can see suddenly we can balance all the things out, if that is the case. Or maybe it is in reverse, maybe it's a rich guy and some people actually find out that those is affecting the poor, and it is affecting the health and the transport or whatever. You see, if you begin to think a little more, maybe it's not so bad with multi-democracy, because you having specific cases they're going to work with, but they are also forced into work with each other. Whether they like it or not, what they shall focus on is their cases. So if they say, we want to support the rich guys, we will want to have taxes down, and the other one is saying we need to have higher taxes, then you have to find a midpoint where it is saying, okay, if you want lower taxes, you shall prove to us that the rich guys is actually want to help the poor one getting jobs. So you shall trade your points in the horses and say, if you're doing this, what do we get out of it? What do the poor people get out of it? Are we getting more jobs to those? Then we will put money into it. Instead of putting money into our and support people, maybe the companies will support those people better and protect them a little better as well, maybe, if they get the bonus. So you just say you can reduce your taxes if you prove that you will pay your improve your company or something, and thereby maybe add some points, because then they will take care of it instead of the government is going to support it, something like that. But in most cases, I will say socialism is probably the best solution in any cases you see it, but in this one it will take everything in and put them up against each other. Maybe we find out. Oh. Hmm. Uh, um, Maybe if we take this example that socialism, maybe we find out that we need a balance on this percentage because we found out that it is actually the best system as it is, not just one part or the other, but actually coming up with some proof that this is the best system. People are happy. There's no one complaining anymore because it's okay. It works in that matter. And we're taking a little from communism and a little from capitalism and then adding into socialism, and then we're getting a very good, decent system that maybe benefit all people, make them happy. Or maybe a little later in the next year it will change a little, and thereby the voters, depending on how much we get on each point. Instead of voting, we are saying this is the focus the people are asking for. They are going more for socialism, maybe. Maybe they want more capitalism next year and less of those here. So the points going down, for instance, there and getting a little point up here. And then the voters is telling exactly what they want instead of random guesses and so maybe that is the thing. So we are actually improving the capitalism and we are also improving socialism in this case. Just to put out some points that you can see this is what people actually want. So you're getting a full picture of who are actually in the system. So the cases is adjusting to what people actually demanding. And as I say, a multi-democracy with less than 5 parties are definitely not a multi-democracy. You need more. You need to have some people that actually can do something. So you need, I will say the best number will be around 7 because then it's not too big, not too little. It's just perfect balanced. Where you can actually have an opinion and say, I want the environment more. Yeah. And that can suddenly be a case, suddenly springing in, and then people are saying, okay, I will actually sacrifice the socialist to support the earth instead. So the earth gets some money for this. Maybe that is going to be a party that's going to focus on. So instead of saying now we're getting full socialism or full capitalism or full communism or full on earth, then we are balancing it perfectly to what people actually want instead. Maybe some people will want to support people with handicaps. And thereby, suddenly, maybe some people are saying, hey, we actually need more of this one here. We have 2% that actually want jobs instead of capitalism. So maybe they focus on that. So can you see the idea? It will balance what we actually ask for instead of saying this is the thing we need, this is the thing we need. It will balance more out and say this is actually what people have as an opinion, and then we can look at the things talking around and figure out actually even that the roads are this we find a balance that maybe even fitting better. So maybe the fitting model will be 30% balance on this one. Maybe they find out that it is better actually to invest a little more in the economy and maybe support this one a little more, maybe therefore, and getting a little more into and focus on green technologies, for instance, and etc. and etc. And if you math this out, 30, 30, 30, then it's 10%. So you can see if this is the solution they find out, this is the important one. Therefore, that's what we agreed on the system. Then we have tested things out, and people can say, "Hey, we actually like this idea because you come with a suggestion that actually getting people that is poor actually that job. So by giving a more here, we actually giving what we actually need, and we need a system that is more structural but not restricting people. It's more like we want a safety net that is a little more higher, and thereby putting a little points down there as well. And green technology maybe also boosting socialist welfare, for instance, and such things. And handicap friendly works maybe get more tax, and actually some of them might was up in this category but actually was handicapped and wanted just to have jobs, thereby earning more money, because also more jobs and so on. So you see, this will balance what is needed, it will look at it, and you have to make a conclusion of what is actually needed in the system. Where is the problem? And also the committee is also advisors that actually can say, hey, if I was you, I will focus more on these things, because what you are talking about is spinning around, and if you want my suggestion, I give it. And when they listen, maybe they find out, oh, okay, we need to shift gears, I can hear. It's not that your suggestion is the right one, but what if we do this? Because then I am happy and you are happy and you're getting what you want out of it in the long term. Then they can say, if you can make that happen, you got my stamp. And therefore, they shall claim it up to about 70% when they get the job. They shall try to hit it as good as possible. Of course, if you can see it is progressing and such things, but if it going down, the people can actually begin to say, hey, what's going on? Why isn't that growing as expected? And thereby you shall actually come with claims that actually hold water, not just a little, but you shall actually be hitting it very well. So if you say saying a year, it will be like 1.5 years, then you should have done it by now. Something like that. For instance, you shall hold your promises as good as possible. So you cannot just say stuff and then say, hey, I want to help all people, and people are just going to die of hunger. Then you shall prove that you actually care about them if you work with the things you say you're supposed to do. So that is the thing about multi-democracy is responsibility. Take it, not just playing around with gears and such things. Mean it. Like I say here, this is a good example. This is a very good example of multi-democracy, how it should be working. It's just examples of votings, where they're heading, and what we're getting in these cases. It can also be conservatism. For instance, if you're a conservative, you can also set that in. If I can spell it. No, conservative. And thereby we find out maybe that there's a little margin, a percentage. Maybe they will say, okay, we need conservatism about 5% in our system, and then maybe comes from this one. Maybe it balances things out where these are not being slaved to sit around and just doing nothing. And those people here are making it predictable for people who have handicaps, for instance, and they might be like that. Thereby, the balance will fall down to this point. So even that they maybe not have the votes, they can actually inflict something. If you are worried about border control and such things, you can also make that a statement that saying, hey, we don't want, for instance, terrorists in. We want people who actually want to be in Denmark, or Norwegian, or yeah, where else. If you come into the country, maybe you need something, at least some rules that make it not just a saloon to get in and such things. Maybe you want a little control so people not just rocking around and moving like crazy. Maybe you want a little stability, for instance, a conservative system can be in that. Also, that you cannot just say, hey, I hate those people. No, it's not a legal statement because that is violating those things here. It's also violating abuse and human rights and suppression and dictatorship will come eventually. You need to be waking up instead of judging other people for your mistakes. If you're making a mistake, you should probably change it and not just give other people the blame. And that actually also mean that even that you're not voted in, yes, you have no money, but you can influence. If they find out that you actually come up with good ideas, then you can actually be gaining a little trust. Instead of being pushed out in the first moment, you can actually be what you can say non-supported, an advisor, basically an extra advisor in the government, and say, hey, I know these things here, what you talk about, if we do some of this and this and this, we can actually make it work. Maybe you are the glue that just hold all of the system, combine it, or I hear what you're saying, I suggest we do this, this and this, because then you get what you want and you get what we want and we are all happy, aren't we? Because that is what multi-democracy is about. It's not about who have the power. It's that people can live and be free to be who you are. It's about freedom to the individual person, not by a rich guy, no, to the people itself. No more fight forth and back from one state to another things or anything like that in like USA. No more the problem about who gets elected. It's about you shall work together, no matter you like it or not. If you come up with idea, you shall prove them right first. You shall prove that you're not breaking the law. You shall prove that you are capable of actually come up with ideas and actually stack them together, boost them up. If you really want a four-dimensional check, then go from multi-democracy. It's the only system that will work in the long term and also in the short term. If respected the system from day one. You will have power, but you are not taking power. That's the difference. You're having power because you know how to make a system work. If you're a good system maker, multi-democracy is for you. Because if there is a lot of people who agree to things and benefit all their focus lines without breaking the other one, make space for every one of those meanings, then you're having a government system that benefit everyone, not benefiting one group or two groups. Everyone combined it, everyone part of it. Maybe someone is going for homeless support. Someone like me, for instance, I would be like that. Like I said before, if the whole world gave me about $1 billion in total to work out a strategy, then I will not let them down. Then I will use them wisely to get homeless, getting some form of socialism into every country as fast as I can, and also make it handicap friendly in that matter, and in the longer term also earth protection. That is the focus I will focus on, and also use the capitalism to fund all these things, but not like capitalism like suppression capitalism. No, a capitalism that focus on supporting people. In my case, why not make the homeless help each other in their successes so they can cover the next bill to the next one? That way we can get them all in. I have a plan. I know how to do it. It's just you that is too slow. In long term, health care will be a world thing. Homelessness will be a protection for the whole world as well. I'll simply earn on supporting and helping people. Simple as that. And I'm stopping the recording now in that matter, because I got the most of the things, trying to make it simple so you can understand what's going on. It's more complex than this, but this is the statements that I'm pointing at. Imagine a system that balances itself out, that is listening to its voters, a democracy where you have the power to say no, or at least have an impact with your votes for what you actually want. Because when there is a lot of people who want socialism, for instance, in the country, someone will capitalism, then it must mean that the needs are in these categories. So if some of those are outside, but then you can say, okay, so if I can hit this rate by doing something to one of the other and support some points there, and support little here and little here and little here, maybe I can get it to work better. Maybe I can get what I actually need and empower this one as well, because this one maybe support this one, so those points actually get up, so this one stays at the 30% in result, but this one maybe in the total cover up those percentage that you were aiming for. So they are getting more than they actually asked for, and those maybe are also adding up, but they may be also getting some benefits from it, so they maybe increase a little, maybe they getting to 70% in that matter. And then you can see maybe this one is also giving more income and such things, so they are earning more, and then you can math out how much better it is from the past to the now, and thereby say maybe this one is also getting more because they are paying taxes suddenly, and these things here, I don't know what they do, but they do something, I imagine. Maybe they get some benefits as well, they actually getting more than they actually asked for. And homelessness is pretty much maybe also boosting a heck of a lot, because they suddenly can afford home and all those things. And when you count all those things together, you can find out how many percentage it actually is better than the last time, by 30, by 70, by 30, by 8, by 6, by 10. Then you're having a total 130 gain. So thereby you can say the country is doing better. You can prove it is better because they are getting what they actually was aiming for. All the people was getting even more than they asked for. Thereby you can say you did it well together, instead of that you will maybe losing points, and you will be able to see that if someone is coming into power, you will automatically be able to say, no, it's not. We are not happy. We are not happy. We're not happy. No, we're not happy. Boom, 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 boom. Everything is going down. We are on the line. So if you getting a balance where someone is a dictator and such things and beginning to take power too much, and it is kind of going down to this one, you can definitely say the gain is way more bad than the person is telling, and that is a thing that you can actually find out because you just have to ask people what is actually correct. Are the states agreeing to it or what? This way you can say, is this progress or is it decreasing country? Because we're mixing opinions instead of like Russia, Putin, communist system basically. Yeah, they're probably not in the gain area because they are focused heavily on this, but they actually also want, they are actually focusing on capitalism and communism system basically. But maybe they need like all those here maybe. By multi-democracy, you make sure everything is that is needed is fulfilled, and if you can prove they're getting more points than they actually asked for in balance, then you can say you got a gain. So that is, to sum it up, why it is better than all the bullshit that is made out there. Because, oh yeah, but we got a democracy that is working fairly because the people are happy about the things and such things. Yeah, maybe you got a good working condition, but this one is saying you shall work together. Focus on what your term is. If you are a capitalist, focus on that. Don't underestimate people's wish. Just make sure that you aiming at those things you get and thereby come with suggestion. How can we make sure that those capitalists actually making more jobs to people? So it's not just like they're getting more and then they fire people because then it's cheaper, they get more money, they're earning more in the long run and they just have to work harder. You see? You shall prove the things is combined and connected. And that is the simplicity of it. It's a self-regulation system. You are employed, not a leader. Leader is for wishes that don't know what democracy means. If you have a leader, I'll say you did something wrong. No one can run a system with consistency. You need a person who are oppositive of what you mean and feeling. You need to widen your mind to succeed a good system. You cannot just say the one or the other. As long as it's not dictatorship, the suppression, not breaking human rights, not slavery, not abusing, not going into kids, or exploit people in a loop where they cannot get out. Prove you are not those things is the minimum requirement for multi-democracy. There is no space for egoism. There's space for people. Multi-democracy. There we go.